Chair thanks the gentleman. Chair now recognizes the chairwoman of the full committee, Ms. McMorris Rodgers, for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez and Dr. Ortiz. I'm very concerned about the state of our nation's electric grid. We see electricity prices continuing to skyrocket since the beginning of 2021, almost 30% higher today. Our electric grid is becoming increasingly unstable. NERC has issued warnings that 2/3 of the nation is at an elevated risk for a blackout as our most reliable and affordable power plants are being retired and replaced with weather-dependent wind and solar. In 2023, EIA projects that 15.6 gigawatts of baseload generation will be shut down, which is enough electricity to power more than 10 million homes. So first, Mr. Rodriguez, do you agree that baseload power plants retirements pose a threat to grid reliability?
I apologize for the way I need to answer this, but in and of itself, retirement of power plants does not pose a threat. I believe the point of agreement between us is that if things aren't done in a thoughtful, deliberative fashion, you can cause reliability concerns around the ability to have power delivered at the time we need it.
Right, well, it suggests that it's not being done in a thoughtful manner then, because it seems that we are shutting down baseload and reliability is absolutely being jeopardized. Mr. Ortiz, has FERC been asked to model the impact of baseload power plant closures on the electric grid?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay, and another question, Dr. Ortiz, are intermittent wind and solar generation reliability sources of electricity during extreme weather scenarios when demand, is there reliable sources of electricity during extreme weather scenarios when demand for power is spiking?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Are intermittent wind and solar generation reliable sources of electricity during extreme weather scenarios?
If I may, I'd prefer to take that back to be able to look more closely at the data.
Okay. Mr. Rodriguez, I look forward to hearing back just what your analysis is as far as being dependent upon wind and solar when we have these extreme weather events. Okay, Mr. Rodriguez, under President Biden, DOE has been moving aggressively to regulate dozens of home appliances that we all rely on to cook for our families, wash dishes, heat our homes. And these regulations are really like a hidden tax. It's raising the cost of appliances. Unfortunately, seeing some weakened performance, eliminating choices like natural gas stoves, for example. So yes or no, would you support an amendment to the law to prohibit energy standards that increase costs for consumers?
The phrase increased cost to consumers is, quite frankly, a difficulty for me, because like any investment that you make that has a return year after year after year after year, if we look at a truncated what's the first cost, then there would probably no purchase that any American would make. I think the better view is to take a look at the life cycle costs, but the life cycle benefits as well, because that is what really helps Americans to reduce their energy bills.
Okay, do you believe American consumers should pay more for a dishwasher, for example, to offset the social cost of carbon emissions or the global effects of climate change?
I believe the American people should and actually enjoy the fact that there are products available that, while they might cost a little more at the outset than old, dated technology, they save them money every year, every time the lights go on, every time you wash your clothes. That is a financial return.
As a follow-up to that, then, does DOE plan to look back on any of the prior standards to see if they've actually saved consumers energy and money?
We actually have done that, and as a matter of fact, it's one of the great American success stories. The amount of money saved by consumers is only half the story, though. But the fact that we are reducing the amount of energy consumed means that it makes available resources that we have today more able to meet the needs of the American people. So it's a reliability
investment. Thank you. I'd like to look at that. I'd like to look at that. Thank you. Do you have any idea how many of name brand American appliance manufacturers have actually been bought by China in the last nearly 20 years since this requirement put into place.
I know there are people in our department who look at that. I do not have that information with me today. I could look that up.
Thank you. I was a little surprised that my GE microwave is actually Chinese-owned. I yield back, Mr. Chair.
Jill Lane yields back, and now